Hello everybody, this is Ice Blood, welcome back. We're going to be tackling 5-3 today, which includes a boss fight and a prologue to another one. But first, our plan. Because of the agent, we lost Chief Mendez and Ramon. Nevertheless, everything will proceed according to plan. I must admit, however, the loss of my loyal men is a bit disheartening, but I will deal with it. Replacing that loss will not come easy. I must choose wisely, for the Plaga reflects the conscience of their hosts. If chosen poorly, they could betray me. I need men who will swear their allegiance to me. I've learned my lesson. When Sarah betrayed me, I will not make the same mistake again. In this important hour, I cannot and will not have anyone stand in my way. So here's a question. A lot of the documents we found so far seem to be messages about the plot and about the motivations. Why? Do these guys keep journals? Whatever.
What's the news on our friend Leon?
He's not making it easy. The sample?
Sadler's got it. It seems he sniffed out our little game.
Perfect.
Just so we understand each other clearly, I don't trust you, nor does Wesker. If you try to do anything clever, I will kill you.
Is that so? You know, I met Wesker long before you.
We'll see soon enough if you did.
Yeah, we'll see.
The documents that we've come across so far, do you think maybe they're updates for the other members of the cult, maybe? We haven't really heard much about the guy with the scar, although we do know he's working for Sadler. Clearly he's actually working for Wesker, too, another Resident Evil mainstay. We won't see him in the core game, though he does make an appearance in the extra content, so we'll see him eventually. I just wonder, why would these documents be lying around? Who are they for? They're not for Leon. Sadler has pretty much made it clear he doesn't really care about Leon and just wants him gone. And he's sending out the big guns to deal with us. So why have all these documents lying around explaining the plan, explaining the contingencies, and basically updating, well, us primarily, on the nature of their organization and the state of their mission? It's nice. I mean, it kind of gives us a bit of a different perspective, but it seems odd that they would keep these things around, like little journal entries for us to peruse. Maybe Sadler just likes to write his thoughts out, and maybe it helps him. Maybe it's cathartic. Maybe by doing this, he's able to work through his deep-seated issues, because he certainly has plenty of those. I suppose the only way to find out is to confront him. Now, at the end of last episode, he took Ashley from us yet again. I'm sensing a pattern. She disappears a lot, which actually is somewhat nice in the harder sections of the game, because she does make things interesting. Thankfully, right now, we don't have to worry about her too much, although it has gotten to the point where we can handle things pretty well, I would dare say, with the arsenal that we have, with the skills that we've amassed, and the fact that I've kind of remembered how I play the game. We can handle the situations when Ashley's around and she's presenting a bit of an obstacle. Still, it's nice when she's gone, because it just simplifies things. Although I'm sure Leon would disagree. I'm sure he just wants to get her and take her home. I mean, obviously, he's had roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and I'm sure that government operatives are used to that kind of thing. I mean, he's, you know, infiltrating hostile territory, and I'm sure he expected some problems, but there's quite a few so far. How likely is it that anyone would survive this kind of mission? I mean, if you really think about it, it seems very statistically unlikely that Leon would live through this, that Ashley would live through this. And here's an example of exactly what I mean right here. As we inch closer, it's all quiet, dramatic. Uh-oh. Something's happening. No! Oh, wait. Ah! And there you have an example of what happens when you're not paying close enough attention when a cinematic starts. This game kind of taught players to not put the controller down when a cinematic started because it could be very easily a button prompt. Mere seconds afterward. Just like that. This sequence is actually famous/infamous. You'll see why.
Long time, comrade. Krauser. I died in a crash 2 years ago. Is that what they told you? You're the one who kidnapped Ashley. You catch on quick, as expected. After all, you and I both know where we come from. What do you want? The sample Sadler developed, that's all. Leave Ashley out of this! Oh, I needed her to buy Sadler's trust in me. Like you, I'm American.
Really? You're American? I couldn't tell. Oh, slow motion backflip. Yeah.
You got her involved just for that?
Oh. Got some Zack Snyder shit going on here.
All for Umbrella's sake.
Umbrella?
Umbrella?
Yeah,
Almost let it
exactly.
slip. Enough talk. Die, comrade.
I've heard that line before. Someone saved us?
Ada!
Oh, surprise,
This
surprise.
is the bitch in the red dress.
Looks like we have the upper hand here.
Her dress isn't really red. Whoa, shit.
You may be able to prolong your life, but it's not like you can escape your inevitable death, is it?
Oh, you told him. Her dress is kind of
You
burgundy.
knew each other?
Almost purple.
More or less. Maybe it's about time you told me the reason why you're here.
Maybe some other time.
Phone call. Room service.
Enjoy the reunion with your old friend?
As a matter of fact, I did.
Wonderful. I wouldn't want my special guests on the island feeling unattended.
Guess I'm supposed to thank you, right?
Ah, I have an idea. Since you're here, why don't I introduce you to it? It should keep you busy.
Can't remember the name, huh? A senior moment, perhaps.
Oh, enjoy the fun.
If I didn't know better, I'd say Sadler was starting to enjoy his interactions with Leon. Though I'm not sure Leon's enjoying interacting with Sadler. So there we have our first confrontation with Krauser. I believe that's the first time we've heard his name, too. And obviously he and Leon have a history, which makes sense. I mean, it's been 6 years since the Raccoon City incident. What's Leon been up to? Well, he's probably been training. I mean, how else can you explain the whole super soldier thing? I've heard people mention that that's one of the things that they find odd about this game is that Leon's gone from a rookie cop to a government super soldier. Look at the kind of stuff he could do. He's freaking Captain America, where he's like doing all the somersaults and the fancy moves and all this kind of stuff that really you wouldn't expect a beat cop to know how to do. But it's been 6 years, and he's a survivor of a zombie outbreak. I'm pretty sure he'd want to brush up on his skills and stuff like that. So I think it makes sense. I think it's a logical conclusion that he would decide he wanted to upgrade himself, for lack of a more sophisticated term. Yet again, me apologizing for the perceived failings of the Resident Evil franchise, including this section here, which is, I think it's pretty obvious to anyone who's seen the first movie. This is obviously a throwback to it. Those of you who have seen that movie probably remember the famous laser hallway. That's basically exactly what this is. Except Leon's a little better at it. Okay, maybe it is somewhat unrealistic, but it's badass, so... Unlocking. Oh look, more lasers. How do we handle this one? Like that. Obviously. Okay, look, unrealistic or not, that was amazing. Come on, you gotta admit it, that was freaking awesome. One of my favorite moments of the entire game, actually. And not only because of how badass it is, but I do really like the first Resident Evil movie. Particularly the first one. I like the second one too, and the other ones, they aren't bad, but, you know. What happens here? Ah. Take a load off. No time for resting. Well, that's probably true. So yes, you heard me correctly, I'm one of them. I really like the movies. First one's my favorite. I really like the second one because it brought Jill and Carlos and the folks from Nemesis into the picture, which was awesome, although I don't know what they did to Nikolai. But anyway, the fact that, you know, this game has a homage to the first movie, I think is pretty awesome. I really do. And like we saw, Leon's better at it than the operative from the movie, so, you know. The only thing I would say, I didn't show this, but when he dies in that section, if you don't do the QuickTime event fast enough and he ends up dying, he just gets hit by the lasers and falls apart. Oh, new memo. Hold on. I'll report my findings about the Plagas here. The Plagas have 3 distinct characteristics. 1. As mentioned previously, the Plagas have the ability to manipulate the behavioral patterns of their hosts. Okay. 2. The Plagas are social organisms. By this I mean that instead of living individually, they live in perfect social harmony. It is believed that they have a collective intelligence. This type of behavior can be seen among insects, such as bees and ants. However, this kind of social behavior is rarely seen among parasitic organisms. Perhaps it was a learned behavior by the Plagas. I'm finding out if this has any relationship with their first characteristic. 3. The Plagas have exceptional adaptation skills. They're able to live off many kinds of organisms by creating a symbiotic environment quickly. This ability, when combined with their social behaviors, allows them to interact intelligently between hosts, regardless of the host organism. I'm ashamed to admit that my pure fascination with the Plagas, in hindsight, has blinded me to the true research objectives of the Los Iluminados. Even with the knowledge that Sadler was going to abuse the results of these experiments, I could not pull myself away from my research. As a result, I am just as responsible for this whole mess as he is. I see now that I was wrong, but can I stop their evil plans alone? Well, clearly not, because you died. Okay, let's check the merchant's inventory real quick.
Welcome.
Like I was saying before, if he dies from the lasers section, he just gets hit by the lasers and dies. If he had actually been, like, you know, cut up into little pieces like in the movie, that would probably be my favorite moment in a game ever. I'm a bit dark. Okay, so we have 2 stones for the golden links. We don't have the 3rd one just yet.
What are you buying?
Anything? There we go. This'll help. Knew I was missing something. There we go, there we go. Okay. Do we have enough for an upgrade, actually? We do.
Is that all, stranger?
Alright then.
Thank you.
TMP's pretty close to being fully upgraded too. That's awesome. Alright. Now, Sadler mentioned it. Remember that? Of course she did. It only happened a little bit ago. But the big question would be, what is it? We're going to find out. And Luis's memo kind of foreshadows it, talking about adaptation and host organisms and the symbiotic relationship and that whole deal. We're going to see what exactly that means relatively shortly, but for right now I am going to rearrange the inventory yet again. We're going to put all the health and ammo in these first couple sections here, and then we're going to move around the weapons so that they're easily accessible. We're going to need them shortly. And there we go. Okay. Move that there. There we go. And then right there. Let's go for a little bit more symmetry. That. There we go, I think. I think that'll be okay. Wait, no. That won't fit there. Okay. I think we're good to go. There. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Now, let's go and meet it, shall we? First we're gonna save because, well, boss fight. Notice now I am saving every time we reach a new chapter, because I've had several instances during this playthrough where I've lost footage because of various problems with the recording. I'll get through an entire chapter and then realize only half of it recorded, or the entire thing has been corrupted, or whatever. So I've taken to having a new save file for every chapter, so that if I do end up losing footage again, I only have to deal with the most recent chapter, which is usually when I start a video. So it all works out pretty well. Get out of the fence there, Leon. There you go. There you go. Let's see here. Aha, here we go. That is the battle arena for it. That's right, we're going to be fighting something in there. And I certainly do mean something. Oh, a little tracking thing we put on Ashley.
Ashley,
It's no longer here. Sadler must have found it.
what is that?
Sneaky bitch. That, Leon, is a sign to leave quickly. This is it. Its technical term is U3, but we actually don't learn that in the game proper. We find that out from outside research. Now this is less a boss fight right now than it is a puzzle, because we can't actually kill him here, or at the very least you're not supposed to. What you're supposed to do is unlock each section by hitting these buttons. Now we hit one, there's another one, and when we open that big red door over there on Leon's left, that will open and we'll move to the next section. And we have to pass through all the sections of this car, or whatever you might want to call it, to get to the final arena where we will be handling U3 once and for all. And of course, this is what happens when you're not careful. It's kind of like Verdugo. He uses the same sort of strategy. Now, you can't really kill him, but it's still a good idea to deal with him when he shows up like this, because once you do enough damage, he will leave, and he'll leave you alone for a little while. So, not very long, obviously. Okay, open up, and we are in the second section, and that proves that we can no longer go backward, which is probably a good thing. Now this thing, called U3, I found out a little bit about this creature. Basically what it is a chimera. Which chimera is a mythical beast that combines 3 different things. We actually made a chimera in the castle. It was a combination of a goat, a dragon, and a... oh, what's the third one? Goat, dragon, and... wolf? Lion? Lion. And... but what that tends to mean in scientific context, or pseudo-scientific context, I suppose, is a creature whose DNA is effectively combined with another's. This thing has made a combination of 3 separate creatures. Let's see, I have it noted down right here. Let's take a look. It's an experimental bioweapon developed by Sadler's research team. So that's what we're dealing with right now, is Sadler's research team. It is a combination of human, insect, and reptile DNA, fused imperfectly, obviously. Now, of course, not only is it a combination of these 3 creatures, but it also has a plaga implanted in it. So technically, I guess you could say there are 4 creatures that are combined to make U3. It kind of explains why it looks as lovely as it does. I'm guessing this sort of combination does not lend itself toward general sanity, so this thing's probably batshit crazy. He certainly doesn't look well adjusted. That looks like it might be the insect part. Not entirely sure where one section of the creature begins and where the next ends, or whatever. Either way, this thing is not a friendly little puppy that Sadler kept as a pet, although he might call it that. This is, well, I hesitate to even call it like a guard dog or an executioner or whatever word you might use to imply that he sends it out to kill things. This feels like a failed experiment that he's trying to get rid of. You gotta wonder if Sadler figures that we will be able to defeat it, and if we do, well, we got rid of one of his loose ends, and if we can't, well, then the creature got rid of a bigger loose end, so it's kind of a win-win situation. It seems to make sense for how Sadler operates. Now, we've passed the 3 cars. Now we have to make it to back onto the island. Now, you would be forgiven for thinking that this boss fight is now over. Forgiven, but still wrong. We basically have just enough time to pick up this stuff. And, well, you'll see. Let's see, what are we gonna do here? There we go. And perfect spot for you, incendiary grenade. There we are. Now, as you can see, as we move forward, oh look! He can climb up walls and cliffs. Isn't that convenient? Of course, there are ways to use the environment to kill this thing, but I'd rather do that. Now here's the funny part about this boss. A rocket launcher by itself is not enough to kill it. But it's enough to make it very, very close. But consider what we saw here. He took a rocket launcher and a magnum round, which is 17 handgun rounds, to the face and was still alive. Took another shot to take him down. This thing is nothing if not resilient. It's probably why the game gives us so many resources to help fight it. Because it figures we're going to need them. And see, we could have used that barrel there. We could have funneled it into here. And there's another barrel. There's plenty of explosives we could have used to handle U3. But Later on in the game, I tend to prefer to use the rocket launchers just because it expedites things. And it's fun to watch things explode. Now, is there any other treasure, anything else to pick up around this area? There might be, but I'm not sure. No. Seems like we've basically cleared it out. So, let's see. I guess we'll just go forward. It's very quiet in here now, and that always... I've discussed that. The lack of music, the lack of ambient noise, although we can hear a bit of rumbling there. So there's a bit of ambient noise, although now there isn't. It's something I saw in the Souls games. If anyone watching has actually played those, it's something I first really took notice of in those games, where music is very sparse. For the most part, all you hear is your character, and a bit of, like we hear there, we can hear the ocean, the standard stuff that we tend to hear in this environment. That all makes sense, but when you have... Modern games really tend to rely on their soundtracks, same as modern movies do. Movies will rely on the soundtrack to tell you how you're supposed to feel in a given section, or what you're supposed to think, and games tend to do that a lot as well. But when you get a game that knows how to use music sparingly, it makes for very interesting ambiance, because, like I said, there's plenty of music in the game that, it uses to say, oh, you should be nervous, this is kind of crazy right here. Be careful, you might die, or whatever else you're supposed to feel. When there's no music at all, like right here, for example, it tends to ratchet up the tension all on its own. And then when the music does show up, it's all the more effective because we notice it more. I'm pretty sure that chest wouldn't have fit in that box. Just saying. Anyway, I think... Let's see what's down here. Anything? I didn't think this was the way forward. Oh, the blue stone of treason. Well, look at that. We now have all 3 stones. And we can combine them with the links, and we'll get ourselves a nice chunk of change, which is very, very useful. Oh, speak of the devil, there's the merchant. Well, let's check down here first, see if there's anything else interesting. Oh, some pesetas, alright, I'll take it. Now then.
Welcome.
I have got something nice for you, merchant.
Got some rare things on sale, stranger.
Yeah, I bet you do.
What are you selling?
I'm selling this.
Ah.
35,000.
What are you buying?
I'm buying a new rocket launcher to replace the one that we just used. Okay. There we go. That should do.
What are
Now
you
we can
buying?
buy an upgrade. TMP is almost done. 100,000 will get the exclusive, which will increase the TMP's firepower, which, considering how fast it fires, is pretty awesome. Krauser's note. Alright, let's see what Krauser has to say. It turns out that Old Man Sadler wasn't buying me from the start. Even though I succeeded in kidnapping Ashley, I sort of sensed this when Sadler didn't completely let me in the loop. Trouble in paradise? Under the circumstances, I had no other alternative but to call for her assistance. Perhaps she knew this was the way it was going to turn out all along. Oh, so Krauser called on Ada. My guess is that her ultimate goal might be different from Wesker's in mind. This is just the perfect opportunity to find out. And after I get rid of Leon and retrieve the sample, I'll put her in a body bag along with Leon and send them both to Wesker. So Krauser has his priorities in line. That's nice. Alright, we're going to save. It's been a half an hour, so we're going to cut the video here. I will catch you next time when we finish up Chapter 5-3 and see where the game goes. Catch you later.